wondering when you'd be stupid enough to try a spell
You
like
have a
that.
real short temper there, don't
Aw,
you?
what are you gonna do, Thumbelina? Adorable.
You're too
being
easy to rile
submission.
up, and when you're too easy to
Every
rile up,
time
you're
someone hangs out with you, crazy shit
She
happens.
will never win because she's too afraid to use her magic.
Huh? Meh. Normal Tuesday for me, I guess. Right off the bat, I'm already happy with this episode of Newbie Dash. Look, hear me out. I know this episode may not be considered the most fondest or most liked because of how it portrayed how heroes or teachers treat their fellow pony, but honestly, I don't see a harm in the term hashing, which is the topic most mentioned amongst my peers. I am one of those who's relatively neutral on the subject and still had reasons for enjoying Newbie Dash, though there were other flaws that did ruffle my feathers a bit. Was it an episode I had hoped for when Rainbow Dash finally was accepted to be an official Wonderbolt? Well, no, but I wasn't really sure how it was going to go down anyway. To be honest, I'm still confused on who or what the Wonderbolts are supposed to be. Some say they are like the military Air Force. Others say they are more like the Blue Angels. You know, the flying entertainers that did Daredevil performances. The show isn't too exact in their description. However, in episode testing 123, it stated facts of the Wonderbolt history after the incident with Nightmare Moon that the ponies of Equestria who supported Princess Celestia felt the need that royalty needed extra protection. Thus, the Earth, Unicorn, and Pegasus ponies formed a special force to help protect Camelot and eventually Equestria. And of that formation of protection emerged the Wonderbolts. So with that in mind, I could say with confidence to myself that I would view the Wonderbolts as a military setup, but has a solid nod to performing as well. But let's dive into the episode. We're barely a minute in, and already I'm loving that the episode is giving continuity to the Rainbow Dash fan club, but to top that together, Dash is actually being pretty humble about it, coming a long way from the mysterious Mare duel. She acknowledges her place in the Wonderbolts Academy, is happy where she is, but she isn't getting full of herself. Up until Spitfire gives us the wonderful news that Dash is now officially a Wonderbolt since a fellow member was retiring. An interesting fact that gives me time to think about how the Wonderbolts membership is set up. Clearly they have a ranking system, but also a limited amount of spots available for ponies to become actual Wonderbolts. I guess they aren't used much in actual war or military activities. And to be fair, why would they? Equestria exercises peace over warfare anyways, so why have them other than for protection? But anyways...
Got it. Do you have time to tell us what happened, Rainbow Dash? Oh, yes, we must know every detail. Start from when you were...
Come on, episode, enough with the spike torture. Yeah, okay, it's a nitpick, but I'm not about to blow up on the next issues that are to come. The biggest complaint I hear from this episode mostly is the fact that Rainbow Dash makes a rookie mistake and has doubled the name Rainbow Crash by the Wonderbolts, unaware of the fact it's an actual hashing tradition that they have on each other. Now, I've heard all sides on the topic from actual military bronies to civilian bronies, and me being of a civilian pony myself, I still don't find this to be an issue. Why? Well, because I believe there is a time and place for it. Sure, being called names or being mocked at for making a mistake is rough, but when it comes to my experiences, I learned from this form of treatment that I can either sit and cry about it, or I can use it as a motivator to do better. Even as a filly, my father hashed me in my grades and sport activities. I was never really athletic, I just liked to enjoy and play the game. But when I got hit by a softball in the back by an aggressive pitcher, my first reaction was to fall down and cry like a little filly. My teammates were counting on me though, and the game wasn't over. If it wouldn't have been right for me to just sit there and cry and quit. So what does my father do? He picked me up, pulled me to my hooves and said, "There's no crying in softball, Blizzy! Stop crying! Suck it up! And hit the dang ball, crybaby!" Yes, it was hard to hear this from him. Yes, the crybaby statement hurt my feelings. So what did I do? Did I continue to cry? No. I used it as a motivator and I hit the ball. And I actually made a home run doing it. Again, I'm one of those that believes there's a time and place for hashing, but communication is a good thing to have too, which could have been done better on Rainbow Dash's department as well as the Wonderbolts. But instead, we are forced to watch as she takes what her friends say to literally and pulls off this ridiculous stunt of trying to act like the other main five, which being my biggest complaint of this episode. It was painful to watch, and I would even admit cringeworthy. But I'm not going to go full-blown negative on that scene, and here's why.
Well, of course I know that, but the truth of the matter is, you should be excited.
Alicia Ball. Oh my Celestia, Alicia Ball. Your voice acting blew me away in these scenes. Come on guys, I know the visuals and the behavior of Rainbow Dash were extremely hard to watch, but you gotta give credit to the voice acting here. After all, it's not like she wrote the episode. She literally had to play out several characters' voices, being Rainbow Dash, pretending to be Twilight, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Flashlight, and finally Applejack. Alicia Ball voicing Rainbow Dash, who's pretending to sound like Applejack. A brilliant performance that I cannot begin to imagine how much practice it took her. This may have been one of the most annoying scenes of the episode, but it by far was probably one of the most amazing voice acting performances I've heard. But coming to a conclusion, I feel like quite a few things were forced. A sudden dip in her childhood where hashing actually pushed her confidence down to near Fluttershy levels, her being clueless about talking things out with her fellow Wonderbolts, and the fact she risked destroying a performance that all her colleagues practiced on for weeks just to make herself look good in front of her peers. If anything, I am disappointed that this episode had a lot to offer in regards to the topic of dealing with pressure, but it ended up sacrificing the character development in the process. Rainbow Dash, as far as I know, has always been a slightly intimidated individual when she's not being supported by her friends or the public, but otherwise is a very confident, outgoing individual who would rather do better than do worse in regards to decision making. If anything, I feel like her personality took at least 3 seasons backwards, for the sake of making a story, and not so much love went into it as I would have hoped. But that doesn't mean I didn't enjoy the positives. I loved Dash's enthusiasm of being a Wonderbolt and doing her best to learn a routine in a short amount of time. The voice acting efforts that went into the scenes to make it more believable were some of the best I've listened to. And again, the animation, flight scenes especially, were very well done in my book. It's not the greatest episode, but I wouldn't call it a complete failure. However, for it to be a representation for a huge goal achievement into a character like Rainbow Dash, fulfilling her dream of becoming a Wonderbolt, it was a bit of a miss for me, sadly. But don't take my word for it, give the episode a rewatch yourself. It certainly still has rewatch value. That's all I have to say on this, ZebronyPony. If you have anything to share or say on this review, feel free to type in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Keep an eye out for those rainbows. They will make you smile.